Welcome to our spoiler review for the Falcon and Winter Soldier Episode 6, One World, One People. We're 6 episodes in, we're finally here at the end. It's been a long journey, but a quick one at the same time. So let's just get right into it. Bogz, how you feeling down there across the pond?
Yeah, well, good. Little sad it's over. You know, it was only 6 episodes, like you said. So yeah, a little sad. Obviously, we're going to give our thoughts and stuff, but overall, I did think it was a good series, not a great one.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it, of course. But yeah, no, I'm reasonably happy. Yeah, it was definitely enjoyed the last episode. Maybe liked a few more than the final episode, but overall, it was good.
Yeah, definitely. Soul, how you doing in Miami?
Doing good. Ready to talk this episode. There is some things that I liked a lot, and then there was other things that I was just like, oh, we could have explored that more. Maybe had an extra episode. There's a reveal that I still don't quite think that that's the real person. We'll get into it later, but yeah, Aisha knows what I'm talking about. So let's get into it.
Aisha, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I wasn't feeling this finale. Wasn't feeling it at all. There were I had a lot of issues, but we'll get into it soon. I won't beat it down too bad, I promise.
Take your time, girl. Take your time.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time. So let's just so we're gonna spoil it. So if you haven't watched the episode, go please watch it, and then come back and you can watch the reviews. All right, so pretty much the episode starts with Carly and the rest of the Flag Smashers. They're at the GRC building. They're ready. Shit's about to go down. Sam and Bucky arrive. Sam pretty much tells him that they've called for backup. You can see that he has the suit, but they're trying to hide it. They're waiting for that nice reveal of it. He's flying up in the sky. Then the GRC gas the room. They're trying to get the GRC members out. Sam kind of realizes that and says, it's a diversion, which we have to keep them in the building. Carly wants them out the building. Sam throws his shield through the glass. We actually see the suit for the first time. So we'll actually stop right there. So guys, what do you think of Sam's new Captain America's Falcon mishmash suit? Looks like more or less like the Captain America suit from from the Winter Soldier mixed with his Falcon suit. So what is your thoughts about it on the new suit?
It's straight out of the comics, man. Do you see that white? What we see with John Walker's suit is that later on, like, there's barely any white on it. White stands for kind of like purity, and so you see all of that white on Sam. So you're basically going like, this is a Captain America with the heart, with the purity, with all the things that he needs, all the symbolism there. So I love the suit. I love the wings. I love everything that he does with the wings. And now we got to see Red Wing again, and we get to see like just the maneuverability of it. So it is a Captain America without super soldier serum. So he needs those wings to help him out a little bit. He needs that little extra push, that Wakandan tech. And so I just love the suit. I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. I thought we were actually going to see it do a little bit more like things that we haven't seen Sam being able to do. Because he's just really just throwing it himself. He's picking it up himself. He's got Red Wing back, which I didn't think they would actually do, but that was a great surprise. But I thought it would just have more new things, and then we'll kind of get to potentially where the show could go, what they've announced after the show came out. But Aisha, you're at the thoughts on the suit.
Yeah, just like Soul said, it was comic book accurate. Sometimes it's not always the right idea to translate exactly how it looks in the comic on screen because it can look a little bit funky. For example, the cow with the ears cut out, I wasn't really feeling that. I was like, go ahead and cut it right here. We don't need all this extra. So that was like, sorry. Yeah, but I mean, it looked pretty good on screen. Of course, the white purity, like what Soul was saying, white wings, angel, archangel. I mean, he kind of looked angel-esque to me. So I thought it was good. I thought it looked pretty good on screen. The ear thing was a distraction. I didn't like that part. The ear holes.
it did take some getting used to, especially like just looking at him, because obviously his old suit was just the goggles. So it's just weird to see him in that kind of cowl, half cowl.
And Anthony Mackie has like little ears, so it's just like.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe it was a comfort
I wasn't
thing.
paying attention to that at all, though. Like, that's hilarious.
No, I'm with Aisha. I was just like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I was like, whatever. Bogz, your thoughts?
I definitely agree with Aisha. I definitely noticed that as well. Like it just looked weird. Like, his ears are just like it's cut out. But yeah, overall, like I did think, oh, it's all fine apart from the ear thing. And I did check like some of the pictures, and it is direct out of the comics, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I did notice. I think the eyes were quite, over the goggles were quite CG all the time. Like throughout the episode, it did distract me a little bit. But I did, I've rewatched the kind of Captain America trilogy leading up to this, and I did see that there are CG in like Civil War and Winter Soldier as well. So it's on trend. So, but yeah, other than that, I mean, yeah, it's a bit like I said, it's a bit over the top. I'd say a little bit. With the red, white, and blue, it's really bright, like the white parts. But yeah, overall, it's pretty cool. And like I said, seeing the Red Wing, there's like 3 of them now or something back. So that was cool. And seeing his wings and how he used that and the shield together, even when he was like protecting himself with the wings and like the shield on top, because he's had that kind of light stuff. But yeah, overall, it looks pretty good. I wasn't disappointed at all with the suit.
No, neither was I. So pretty much, I mean, it's funny how this episode isn't the longest. It's 51 minutes with credits, but not a lot really actually happened. So obviously, Batroc is fighting Sam. That interaction goes pretty as expected. Sam's using the shield. After a while, he realizes that the helicopter's taking off. Bucky can't really stop that because Carly used him was monologuing to him while they were putting all the GRC members in 2 armored trucks, and those drove off. He got on a bike and rode after him. Funny how none of the cops really tried to stop him. They're trying to lock down the building, but whatever. So he goes after them. Sharon actually kills one of the Flag Smashers using some of her tech, which is very interesting. So Sam goes after the helicopter. That whole thing ensues. And then let's just cut right to the armored truck. So when Carly meets up with the armored truck, she's willing to let them, to kill them. To pretty much say like, we're gonna use them for leverage. Carly's like, no, we could just kill them. We can get our leverage. As long as we stop the vote, it doesn't matter if we die. If we have to kill them, that's what it is. And then when they get to the armored truck, they light it on. They light one of them on fire as Bucky's trying to stop them, and then Walker comes up, and then they have that interaction. So let's just talk about that for example. So we see Walker come up. He fights Carly. What are you guys' thoughts about everything that happened during that sequence? Bogz, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so up until kind of it was fine. It was good. I mean, it was obviously a very action-heavy episode, but I feel like some of the action scenes. I mean, I know this in hindsight. Obviously, watching the action scenes were at the expense of some of the overall kind of threads that they had to tie up throughout the episode and the story arcs and stuff. So yeah, it was fine. It was good. And then I did obviously Walker coming in looking all kind of bearded up and angry and stuff, but I found that a little bit weird because they built him up as like an angry, unstable guy, but they didn't really go into that at all in the episode. He was just he came in, kind of wanted Carly, and then he just kind of was redeemed, kind of thing, and that was it. Like there was nothing else explained about why he was redeemed, or they didn't really. I don't know. I just felt like they didn't really earn it throughout the episode. Like, it was. And I did find it a bit weird that that Carly could kind of hang with them as well a little bit. Like I know she's got the serum, but she's not like these guys are soldiers, trained soldiers. Bucky's an assassin, and they all seem to be, especially Carly, like quite like she's kicking the shield away when it gets thrown at her, and I'm like, I'm not really totally like they shouldn't be at the same level like that. Yeah, obviously strength wise, but there's still levels to kind of the combat. So yeah, I was a little bit unsure of it. But overall, it looks fine. It looks great. And then, I'll just leave it there before I go any further. But yeah, overall, I was wanting to see a bit more of a journey from Walker, but he went straight from, came in hot and then just went like, oh, I've got to save these people. So it was a bit weird.
Yeah, it happened really quickly because obviously, you know, the interesting thing about when he comes up to Carly and, you know, she's like, "Oh, I didn't mean to kill him. I only want to kill people who matter." And then he was like, "You saying Lamar's life didn't matter?" And I'm just like, "Oh, Black Lives Matter." I was like, "Oh, they're saying things, but they're not really saying it." So I just thought that was really interesting. And yes, his redeem happened pretty quickly because he's like, "Oh, I could go after the Flag Smashers, or I could try to save the armored truck. I'm gonna go after the armored truck." So like, oh, he's a good guy now.
Which we did talk about last week, Sean.
Yeah.
He was probably going to get redeemed because you see his wife quite a lot not quite a lot, but in a few scenes in the previous episode. Like, why are they showing her all of a sudden? Because they need to obviously indicate he has redeeming qualities. Yeah, soften him. So yeah, we did spot that. But yeah, it was for me. It wasn't really earned, but yeah. And he was working with Bucky as well, which I did say was kind of cool. Like having two Captain Americas and Bucky like together. So like the visual kind of optics of it was cool, but they didn't really earn it for me.
Yeah. So your thoughts?
So going to that phone call, like, I know that Aisha and Sean, you guys watch anime. Did that feel like an anime like monologue to you guys?
Yes.
Because like I was just like, this is like an anime where they're about to fight, and then the bad guy decides that they're gonna monologue for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's what it felt like watching. And I was just like, okay, it's kind of clever to keep Bucky out of the fight, to keep Bucky from stopping the armored trucks. So I was like, okay, that's kind of clever. I see what happened there. But like, it kind of took me out a little bit because I was like, this is an anime trope right here that's happening. And then just going on to, I kind of agree with Bogz on the fact that John Walker needed a little bit more to be redeemed. Although I do like the fact that there was the decision there. It goes, do I get my revenge or do I save these people? And he ultimately does the right thing. And you see, like, so I like the symbolism of like his shield falling down, his like Etsy made shield falls down to the floor. But then you have Sam later, like that shield is the one that saves the day. So I like that kind of dichotomy. And then I also agree, like, we didn't get a Carly montage. We don't know how she fights that well, especially too, like jumping from the bars and doing like tricks that really should be a Black Widow thing or someone who's been trained to do those type of fighting choreography. I would like it more for Carly and the Flag Smashers to just be going off of brute strength, because that's really more like enemies like them who get the super soldier serum. They're going to be fighting with brute strength, and that's why they win, not because of skill. And she was showing more skill in that, which was cool to see on screen. And like in those moments, you're like, oh, this is badass. But then you think about it and you're like, she shouldn't know how to do that. So there was that moments too where like I'm in agreement with Bogz, like, on those moments.
Well, yeah, it's stuff that me and Bogz brought up yesterday. I mean, not yesterday, last when we reviewed episode 5, is that we wanted to see more of their backstory, because maybe it would explain how Carly can fight so well. Because now that Carly, and especially when she's fighting Walker, they seem like they're on even playing field fighting style wise. Because now they're both super soldiers, so you think Walker would have the advantage. And sometimes it kind of looked like he did, but she was still kind of keeping up with him, which technically she really shouldn't be able to.
And there was moments where she looked better than him too.
Absolutely,
those moments, it's like that shouldn't be the case. This is a guy with 3 Medal of Freedom. Like, come on, guy. Like, what's going on?
He got the original shield for a reason. So Aisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. Her fighting skills increased exponentially. I was like, did y'all take some classes over the weekend before y'all came? What was going on here? Yeah, so that was interesting because the whole point was they're sloppy fighters. They don't know how to fight. And that's why she killed Lamar on accident, because she's a sloppy fighter. It's all brute strength. So now that she was all, high kick, I was like, yeah, what's going on here? I don't understand. So that was odd. And then I have to say, if you had any argument that Carly wasn't a terrorist before this episode, she's definitely a terrorist. Okay, I don't see how her sacrificing her people and sacrificing the people that were in the building can't label her as a terrorist. I mean, she completely went down the deep end, unredeemable, in my eyes. So I thought that was interesting. I still don't understand what exactly she was wanting to happen, though. Like, I still, this whole series, I'm just not understanding, like, what is it exactly that you want, and what is the resolution to getting that? So that was frustrating to me, because I thought we were going to get a little bit more of an explanation on that, and we kind of didn't. As far as Walker, yeah, I mean, where was the conflict resolution from last episode to this episode with Lamar? I just think that they kind of glossed over that. It is interesting that he was somewhat redeemed, I guess. But I mean, he's not an evil person. Yeah, he's not evil. So I didn't think that he would risk, the people just to redeem Lamar. But again, I just wanted them to have some type of conversation. He tried to kill both Bucky and Sam last episode, like straight up tried to kill them. And then now we're all good. So that, to me, that was another thing that was confusing. So I was a little bit frustrated just going into the beginning of this. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now. So
yeah, we needed one more episode in between with John Walker.
Really did.
Because John Walker, you see him at the end of episode 1 where everyone was like, fuck this guy. Yes. Who did you give the shield to? And then the second episode you start and you're like, oh, this is actually a legitimately good person. Yeah. He got the shield for a reason. He could be a hero in his own right. Then he goes down a path that you're like, okay, this makes sense, the path he's going down. And then you redeem him immediately after Aisha said specifically, he was going to kill Sam and Bucky. He was going for the kill moves. So you needed an episode in between to kind of just be like, okay, he's getting into his right mind again. Maybe not fully right, but like exactly. There was needed more time. I liked what happened, but there needed more time with it.
And he told Lamar's parents that Lamar's murderer was dead. So he kind of needed to kill Carly to make it seem like he didn't. I mean, he lied to them, but he could have, kind of spun it in a way that, okay, well, I killed her anyway. I didn't kill her exactly when I said I did, but I killed her anyway. So I thought that was kind of,
yeah. I mean, Bogz?
I was going to say, he had very little dialogue in general in the whole episode.
Yeah.
So we don't really know if he's a hero or villain. Even at the end, like we still just don't know what side he's on. So I agree. With everything you guys said,
he's an anti-hero, but it was weird because it seemed like they just had this look and this kind of understanding, like, yeah, we're cool now. It's like, how is it unspoken? It's like you ladies were saying, he tried to kill them. He literally tried. He was going to kill Sam if Bucky didn't interfere, and now just kind of like, oh, we good? Oh yeah, we good. And then let's go save the day together. It was like, really, like there, like you ladies were saying, like there should have been another beat of like, hey, like, my bad. Like, Walker actually has to say the words, I'm sorry, my bad, something, anything. Not just this look of like, all right, we're good. All right, let's go kick ass. It's like, no. You tried to kill me. You tried to kill us. You murdered a guy in cold blood. Are we just going to, like, just forget all that stuff even happened? Mm-hmm. Like, again, like me and Bogz were saying last week, this episode had a lot of work to do. Yeah. And we were thinking, like, if it wasn't going to be really long, the longest one, certain things were going to have to be sacrificed. And unfortunately, this is one of the things that they felt like just this wink and nod would just be enough to get him from like where he was at the end of episode 5 to now. Did it work? Not necessarily. It sounds like to all of us, it didn't work. So it is what it is. I did find it funny that after Sam saved the guys from, saved the helicopter, the black guy was just like, it's Black Falcon. And then the other guy said, no, he's Captain America. So I like that the show would just like saying, like, no, he's Captain America now. Like, start calling him Captain America. And how more and more people started to call him that as the episode went on. I thought it was just kind of funny.
I cringed at that moment. I thought it was
I did too. I did too. I don't know if we're going to address that or a bit later. I didn't like that.
We didn't need that moment because you had earlier where they were like, who are you? And he goes, I'm Captain America. Oh, I thought he was on the moon. Like, that was enough for me. Yeah. That extra moment, I was just like.
First of all, I was like, where? I was like, what? What do you mean? Where? Like, how?
That was doing a callback from earlier in the
from episode
season. 1. But I was just like, okay, I see what you did there. It wasn't needed, but I see what you did there.
well, for me, it's the show is a little frustrating because I think it wants to have a certain conversation, and it doesn't want to do it. It goes right to the line and it just stops. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, oh, they're gonna do it, and then they don't do it, and it's really, really frustrating because once Sam saves everybody, We'll come back to that. We'll come back to it. Because so once they're all together now, they get separated, and then Carly runs into Sharon, and then they have a conversation where we finally find out that Sharon is the power broker. Oh, big surprise, which I didn't necessarily like how they went about it, but holding judgment until further on, because we know obviously things will progress further on, but the announcement or the realization that Sharon is the power broker. Aisha, your thoughts?
You're on mute.
We didn't hear that.
So
I need to hear that full.
anything can be believable with the correct execution. The execution of this was all so sloppy to me. So sloppy. Was I surprised that she was announced as the power broker? Really, it was more implied. It never came out of her mouth that she was the power broker, but still, she's the power broker. Okay, if that's the case, why did you lead them to your scientist who was making your super soldier serum that you need, thus killing him? Why?
Where was your backup?
I was so confused. And then we have another scene where she's in the alley and she's fighting all these guys. Why are you beating down your guys? There's no one there to witness this. What is the point of this scene? I didn't understand that. And then we brought back the Black Widow technology with the face. Okay, if you had that type of technology, how come it was so hard for you to find the Flag Smashers? I was just so confused on her reasoning, why she did what she did. And then of course, I just don't feel like them labeling her as, an enemy of the country is enough to motivate her to become the power broker, and I'm assuming that they're retconning what we were shown in Endgame, because she's supposed to have been snapped, but they're kind of leading us to believe that she's been active these full 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's another sloppy retcon thing that they just did that I was so confused about. So yeah, Mama wasn't happy with that reveal.
She has a satellite too. She has a satellite, and they have an app. So how did you not know where they were?
How did you not know?
I mean, I think there's a lot more to be resolved there. I think they better. Like,
yeah.
I agree, Aisha, with everything you just said. To me, it's just like, I'm willing to give you some slack depending upon what you do with it going forward.
Right.
And obviously, we know she's going to be involved in things going forward. But for me, yes, the whole, unless she's playing a super, super long game, if she would just I'm going to go through all of this just so I can get the pardon, so then I can get back into power and kind of play it from that angle. If that's her motivation, then everything makes sense. If she's playing the long game. Otherwise, you're right, none of that makes any the whole show with her makes no fucking sense. But if she's playing the long game, okay. And then we could have easily just said, whoever she was talking to on the phone, she could have been like, yeah, all this so I got my old job back. Yeah, something like that. But again, we know there's going to be more. So for right now, I'm willing to, I didn't like how you brought this up, but I'm now curious what you're going to do with it. So she's the power broker now, and you put her in this position. What are you going to do with her now that makes it interesting? Why she got from A to B? If she wasn't snapped, I can understand it. If she was snapped, it makes it a little bit harder to believe. But anyway, Bogz, your thoughts about Sharon being the power broker?
Yeah, I mean, you guys covered it. It's really, unless, she's going to be
more.
Unless she's going to be a big bad moving forward in other stuff. But on that, I just feel like it really doesn't go anywhere. So what? She's a power broker. What does that mean now for the story? It doesn't make you care or I don't know, worry about, if she's the power broker, what's going to happen? It's okay, fine. So, and we knew that from the first episode that she was in. You could tell, the amount of shady scenes that she's in, the undercover stuff, the high-end, with the art stuff, and you can just tell, who else is going to be in the series from the characters that we've seen, right? It was just, it was the biggest kind of internet kind of, kind of non-secret. And yeah, I didn't really no, it was totally obvious, and it just overall it just went nowhere. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't like this, like dun dun dun, like new character coming in, like, oh my god, that's the power broker right over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just like this, your share. So you apparently have some more thoughts. So
Oh, I do have more thoughts.
Please.
So earlier in the season, you had Zemo say, "I only know the power broker by reputation," which means that if Sharon was this was the power broker this whole time, that means Sharon was the power broker before she was labeled an enemy of the state. Also, she was snapped. So if she was the power broker, what was happening on those 5 years? Unless you're retconning that and she's the power broker this whole time. So that's where I have a theory. I hope in my heart of hearts that I'm correct, because otherwise this makes no goddamn sense this whole time while she's the power broker. I think she's not the power broker. Okay. I think this whole time I think that she's been working for the power broker this whole time, and she was the face for Carly, because the power broker has power because he works in anonymity. Right. And so I think that the person she called at the end, that's the power broker. I think the person that she's been working for this whole time, because otherwise, if she was the power broker, she would have had backup in the shipyard, because Sam and Bucky were inside. She would have had people there handling that shit. She was there by herself. She wouldn't have taken them to the scientists. She would not put that person in danger. No way. She wouldn't have had to have that whole party to figure out where the scientist was. Like, that's the whole thing. So I think she's working as one of the secret agents for the power broker, and obviously the power broker is not going to give her all that information, and that's why she had to go through all those steps. So I hope in my heart of hearts she's not the power broker, and that it's just because otherwise, like all these points that Aisha made, all the points that Bogz made, Sean made, I've made before, it makes no sense at all for her to be it.
I love your theory. I love your theory. So it's one of two things. Either because she never really said Aisha's right. She never really said she's the power broker. Yeah. Carly just called her that, and it could be about what you said. So Sharon could just be the face of the power broker, like the outside appearance of it. So it's either she's playing the long game to get back into position, and she's the power broker, or she's working for the power broker, and did all this to either double cross whoever it is later on, or do something like, again, we won't get an answer to that now. It's obviously going to come in. Well, we'll talk about what happens next.
And she killed Batroc because she's trying to get a pardon. She's trying to get back into the U.S., do that whole corruption stuff to get that info for the power broker.
Well, she also kills him because he tries to blackmail her, and she's like, I don't like being blackmailed. So,
people have been saying, oh, she wouldn't have killed him if she if she was not the power broker, because she wouldn't care that people knew. And I'm like, no. She's trying to get a pardon.
So again, it's either she's the power broker, or she has another agenda going on. So obviously she kills Batroc. Carly shoots her, which again, like Aisha said, if you don't think Carly's a terrorist, she's definitely a terrorist now. Yeah. So then her and Sam are fighting. Sam doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to to kill her, but obviously, or fight her really. And she's like, fight back. And he won't do it, but then Sharon just kind of like, nah, you won't do it, I'll do it. She shoots her. Yeah. And then she says, I'm sorry, and then she dies. So it goes to my theory. I was kind of right all along, like she wasn't getting out of this series, and it didn't make any sense for her to come out of it. I like the fact that she died in Sam's arms, and kind of saying, I'm sorry for all of this. I think at the end of the day, she didn't really mean for it to get this far. I think she just got caught up in her initial cause, and just kind of spiraled out of control. So I understand why she said I'm sorry, because I don't think she meant for it to go this far. Bogz, your thoughts?
I didn't really like this thing. Overall, I thought her last fight was full of cliches, like her telling him, I don't want to fight you, and fight back, and like her punching the shield, and he's like, no, I'm not. I was like, what is this? What's going on here? And I think it kind of just her death just summarizes the emptiness of the whole Flag Smashers, and her included. I'll put it in that as well. Yeah, obviously she's the best character in that Flag Smashers thing, but really, like, where were they going the whole thing? What, as Aisha said before. Like, what was they trying to do? Like, we still don't know overall. So I think they were just trying to like maybe parallel. Like I said, I've just watched the Captain America trilogy. I think maybe they were trying to parallel the Hydra whole thing, maybe, and infiltrate. Yeah, that kind of thing. And yeah, like, I don't want to hurt you, this kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's nowhere near that. I just thought this was cringe, and it was just completely empty. And even that she died, I didn't really care. I was like, okay, cool. You know, next scene, because this episode is like jumping from every kind of story arc and every kind of tie-in, and it was just going too fast. They weren't spending enough time. Like, okay, she said sorry, but okay, are we like, why exactly is she saying sorry? Because, you know, she's trying to kill people in the episode, innocent people, and then so what are you saying sorry about now? Like, I don't know, it's just weird. Like, why? I don't know. I've got so many questions about it, but because we didn't spend enough time with it, I was there. Okay, all this whole flag smasher stuff, I didn't care. So she's the kind of the embodiment of that. So yeah, it wasn't really too fussed, and I thought it was really cringe, her fight stuff, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I'm curious to see next week, because obviously we're gonna get the making of. So yeah. It'd be interesting to hear if the showrunners address how they have to change the story a little bit after COVID, like, because a lot of the for lack of a better word, meat of the Flag Smashers kind of got written out and glossed over because they were going to use a virus and all that, so they have to change all that. So I'm wondering if they're going to address that in the making of, to kind of not completely justify how the Flag Smashers got changed up, but just kind of addressing it, because obviously we didn't see their whole story. So I'm sure if we did, we might feel, Bogz, you and I would probably feel, or all of us probably feel differently about the Flag Smashers, because they're definitely 100% the weakest part of this series. Soul, your thoughts?
So I think I actually liked the fight between Sam and Carly, because it did remind me of the Bucky and Captain America thing, and it just showed more why Sam is Captain America. He's not gonna fight a child. She's a child, and that's probably why too she said sorry at the end, because it was a kid being thrusted into leadership, being thrusted with all of this power, and it was kind of like that mantra of power corrupts absolutely. And so you saw her going to the furthest end of becoming the villain that she didn't want to be, because of just the fact she started out wanting to help people, and then she ended up being a terrorist. And so in that end, when she's dying, and I've never died before, but I assume when you're dying, you're going to look over the parts of your life and you're going to be like, oh, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, shit, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just thought it was a weird redeeming arc. Just right in the last second, you just shot Sharon like 5 seconds ago, and then
I don't think it redeems her though.
I don't think it does either.
No, it doesn't redeem her, but just an attempt to say sorry. Like, you're trying to kill so many people in just minutes before, and then what exactly are you saying sorry about? Like,
she's a kid.
Yeah, I think she got over her head, way over her head. I don't think she meant to. If she had to do it all over again, she probably wouldn't have made the same decisions. And I think that's why she was saying sorry. She didn't want it to get this far.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Sure. I mean,
I agree with you, Sean.
Aisha, your thoughts?
She was adamant the whole time what she wanted to do. She was about to sacrifice her people and herself. So yeah, I didn't buy it. Sorry. I just didn't buy it. Like, no.
Cold-blooded.
The only thing I could imagine why she says sorry, really.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. The only thing that I'd say, maybe calling his sister, maybe that's the only thing that she could be sorry about. Other than that, it was like, nah. What you sorry? Yeah, you're trying to kill people 5 minutes before. Like, what?
It's like, sorry, I got caught. No.
Yeah.
So, but the symbolism was cool. She literally died in the arm of an angel, Sam with the wings. So I was like, oh,
I literally went to arms up.
And the way he lifts her and like lands, he just lands and the wings are out.
And it was kind of slowly, like I'm slowly.
That's what I meant by redeeming her. Like, it's almost like there's like a beauty about her dying. I was like, what?
I don't think she's redeemed. I think it's,
no, I don't mean that, but it was like
I know.
It was interesting. I was like, wait, why aren't you carrying Sharon out? She's alive. She got shot. Get her to some medical attention. Carly's dead already.
Yeah.
But like, it
Even
was more
Sam was
simple.
just like, fuck the power broker.
Yeah, like, whatever.
No mention of the power broker. I was like, okay.
Well,
And then with Sam,
they don't know that.
which we're going to get to later with Sam's speech.
Oh yeah, well we definitely gonna get to that.
That, like Bogz is saying, that is somewhat redeeming her by his words. And
Yeah. He's doubling down on what she some of her points.
I will say though, and when we get to that speech, that like I still don't think that she's redeemed, and I think that speech talks to because there's people who fight on all sides, and that bad people can fight and do bad things for the right reasons, and you don't have to agree with them on their fight, but you don't have to agree how they're doing stuff, but you can agree with them on their fight. And that's the whole thing with Sam saying that, like, I agree with your fight, I just don't agree how you're doing it. And so I think it doesn't redeem her because Sam was like, there's another way of doing this.
Well,
so
he wanted to take away the label of her being a terrorist.
Yeah,
so.
that part I didn't like.
Well, I mean, we're dancing around it, so let's just get right to it. So obviously, after the angel Sam brings Carly down,
sends from the heaven,
he has his speech with the senators, and I'm thinking like, okay, here we go. We're finally gonna get what I've been wanting for this entire time. Yeah. Is that they're gonna address it? He has the shield. He's wearing the costume. You can even hear the reporter saying, like, what do we call you? Do we call you Captain America? Do we call you Black Cap? What, Captain Falcon? I was like,
when the government make you Captain America.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, we're definitely gonna have this conversation. He goes up there and he starts talking about, like you said, like labels. Like he used terrorist, refugee, thug, like all these labels. Like, what do they all really mean? I'm like, yes. All right, we're gonna have it. And he's like, I'm a black man wearing the stars and stripes, and I can feel it right now that there are millions of people that hate me for it, that are judging me for it. And then you can see Isaiah and Torres and his sister watching him on TV, giving this speech, talking to the senator. And it's really just a one-sided conversation. I was just like, no, it's right here. The senator is right in front of us, right in front of you. There's no way that he would not address A, the shield, B, that you're answering like, yes, you are a black man, and we didn't want you to be Captain America, but we want you to be Captain America now. It was right there, and I'm like so shocked that they didn't go there. I was like, it's all right there. It was just, I was waiting for it. It didn't happen, and it really kind of pissed me off. I was like, you did the whole thing all leading up to this, and you didn't do it. And I thought they were going to, and that part really, really let me down. Aisha, your thoughts?
Not surprised at all that they didn't go there. I didn't think they were going to go there. You laid the seeds, but once you get head on and looking yourself in the mirror and it's time to address the real issue, you copped out, Disney. You copped out. Sorry. I was very, very annoyed with this speech, and I was very annoyed with the fact that there was no dialogue between Sam and this government official, whoever this guy was. I guess
just called senator. That's
I guess there's only one senator that you're able to speak to because it's the same guy over and over again. So
he's in Georgia a lot.
Yeah. It's like you're having all your black characters say what you're wanting them to say, but none of your white characters are coming behind to confirm what they're saying, right? So it's still only a theory of your black characters. It's the feelings of your black characters, but there's no validation with your white characters that you're introducing us into this story. No validation at all. They literally just stood there with all these different camera angles and just let him just talk. And then that was it. And then he flies away. I'm like, really? You know, so this was frustrating. And like I said, if you're going to go there, then go there 100%. And I have more to say with how they handled the Isaiah Bradley issue at the end of the episode. It's like, please don't bring up these issues if you don't have the guts and the backbone to go through it 100%. Don't, because what you're going to do is you're going to leave your audience confused and you're going to leave it up to interpretation. And that's very dangerous in our times right now, leaving things up to interpretation, because it can go far left and it can go far right if you don't tell your audience this is what we're doing and this is what needs to happen. So yeah, I'm frustrated with how this was handled. Now we did receive confirmation that we are for sure getting a Captain America 4. What I'm worried about is it's the same showrunner of Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's Malcolm Spellman. He's going to be the showrunner. He's going to be who's going to be writing.
He's just writing. He's not going to be directing it. So we still don't know who's directing.
He's going to be writing, and that's the issue that I had with this series was the writing. Yeah. So I'm a little bit, on edge about that. I'm happy that we're going to finally get a Captain America movie with a Black man as the lead. Hopefully they don't cop out on that.
I don't think they can.
I hope not. And hopefully we really get to, unpack the seeds that were planted in this series with that movie that we're going to get in, 2 to 3 years. But I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Aisha, I wasn't happy either. But then I also, and you're right. It was like only the Black people addressing, because obviously he talks to Isaiah, which we'll get to. But also, I didn't like that right after that, Bucky made a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that wasn't necessarily the time to make. He's like, oh, I didn't hear anything. And I was texting. I wasn't really. All I heard was Black man with stars and stripes. It was like,
yep.
Not the right time to make a joke.
Especially from a white character. Like, if Bucky was Black, maybe. But yeah, from a white character, no.
Yeah, I was like, not the right time to make a joke. Like, I get it, but like, not right. Not at that moment. Not at that moment. So Sol, your thoughts about the whole speech?
So, I knew they weren't going to go there. I've been telling Sean this whole time they weren't going to go there. So, I mean,
it was right there. It was right there.
Sean was just like, they're going to do it. They're going to have this conversation. I was like, you are too hopeful, my dude. No way is the government going to admit that they did anything wrong. That's how the U.S. government is. They're never going to. A senator is never going to admit that they did anything wrong. So I knew that conversation wasn't going to happen. And I agree, too. You have the Black characters saying this stuff. You needed some white confirmation. And I knew it wasn't going to be the government. It could have been from Bucky. It could have been from John Walker. It could have been from literally any other. Like, I would have loved that conversation to have been had. And then John Walker back up Sam. Because, too, his best friend's Black. His wife is Latina. I'm sure he's invited to the cookout. He knows Lamar's family really well. And the fact, too, that you had Bucky making a joke right after. Like, you have this. We're talking about some serious ass shit there with Sam. And then you have Bucky making a joke. And I think, too, with some of the stuff that Sam was saying, like, let's not call them terrorists. I think he was trying to make a point of, like, there's more to people than just labels. And so, like, I agree with you. She is a terrorist in the show by the end of the stuff. But I think, too, you have to look at the reason why she did it and why people are following her. And I think that was the point that Sam was trying to make, is because there's a bigger problem out there, because she might be dead, but her fight and her cause is not dead, because there's people that believed in her and believed in what she was fighting for. And so I think that was the point he was trying to make there about not calling her a terrorist, even though we all, she's a terrorist.
Yeah, but so I didn't necessarily want the government to admit anything, but just like have a conversation. They don't have to admit fault or anything, but Sam was not having a conversation. He was just giving a speech. Yeah. And I just thought,
but
like,
to them, that would be admitting fault.
I think you could have done it in a way where they could have had a conversation where you're right, especially him being on TV. Admitting fault would have come off like that's kind of weird, but just acknowledging that he's actually really talking would have been nice too. Instead of it just being like, oh, I'm just gonna be monologuing for a couple of minutes here about whatever I'm talking about. So. Again,
instead of just like the nods too, like Bucky and John Walker were nodding, like say something, say something.
Well, and you're right. Walker would have been like, yeah, he's right.
Right.
Like that would have been. I would have been like, yeah, all right. If you want to really redeem him or make him an anti-hero, just kind of make him say something like that. I don't know. Bogz, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll make 2 points really. So First one, I didn't mind the joke afterwards because I felt like the speech was a bit empty. It was a bit. I'll come to that in a second. And the only confirmation we got from any character was Bucky when he puts his hand on his shield on his back. He says, "What did he say? Well done, Cap," or something like that. I was like, "Oh, okay." He was the only one to kind of say from all the people there. But it was weird. They were all just watching him monologue for 5. It was long as well. I was actually getting a bit bored watching it. Like it was really long. He was just talking at them and at them. Like you said, Aisha, different angles and from phones and televisions from different places and stuff. I was kind of bored going through it because the actual speech, it was like he was talking about terrorists. He's talking about, like you said, I think he said refugees and thugs. He's talking about race. So for me, it was like a checklist. You know, in like he was like tick, 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 tick. Okay, that's all these issues done. Like we could have dealt with these issues throughout the episode. Like we didn't have to do it all in a 5-minute monologue, which I was completely bored at, and everyone else was just watching. But you don't understand. But what? Like that was the only line that was said. But it was boring, to be honest. And like you guys are saying, no one engaging. And you're saying that, Sean, you were hoping that he has the discussion with the government. These technically aren't the government. They're GRC. The GRC, they're like a section that look after the people that come back from the blip. Like they weren't actually the government, right? So although he did say he was a senator, but what does that mean? You know, we don't know who this character is.
Well, I think he's a senator in charge of the GRC, but he's still the one that that we've been dealing with this whole show. Who you know, he gave the shield back to. He introduced John Walker as Captain America. He took Captain America, John Walker's cap label away. So he's been involved this whole time. So it would have been nice for them to have a conversation, not just Sam monologuing for 5 minutes.
He's the representative of the U.S. government. The other people in the GRC are representing their governments as well.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember it was the same guy. But yeah, like I could see that he's trying to hold him to accountability and stuff. But it was just, he was just monologuing. And the other point I was going to make is just going back to that scene with where the older guy calls him Black Falcon, and then he goes, "No, that's Captain America." Not only is that incredibly cheesy, but like I didn't like it the first time it happened when the kid said it. Like, okay, it was funny. It was a funny line. It was a funny moment. But like, I think we mentioned it before. I've never, ever heard him address the Black Falcon from anybody ever. Never even seen it online. It's like they're putting it now in it's like a thing now. Like now you're calling him Black Falcon, and now that. And then when they said, "Oh no, he's Captain America," now it's like, okay, because when you hear a conversation about Captain America, you're gonna think, okay, is it Steve Rogers, is it John Walker, or is it Sam or / Falcon, whatever? And now now people can just say, "Oh, Black Captain America," because you're putting this title, you're putting this label in front of it, which we didn't need. Like no one asked for it. That was never an issue. Now you've put it out there as like a thing now, which people are gonna say Black Captain America. And I was like, what? Like, just as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, you've done it again. Like they've doubled down on it. So I was really disappointed when they said that because, like they've made a point of adding the title of Black in front of it when it was never an issue for. No one ever called him Black Falcon. I'm sorry, like that was never ever an issue for anyone. Now you put it out there as a thing for people to talk about, and they're going to label him as Black Captain America, which, you know, I think they're partly to blame for that because, you know, they put a random title out there, which there was no need to do. So I was gutted with that. And then the like you said, the speech was just dull and it was boring. It was like a checklist for me. And then I was glad kind of Bucky did call him Cap at the end of it. I didn't mind the joke, like I said before, because it was just I was bored at that moment. So that was in fact, I'm pretty sure I laughed at it because it was just like it was like a funny thing to distract me from the conversation.
I get why the joke was made, and it kind of goes to like, all right, after he made that speech, now everybody's calling him Cap. Like he calls him Cap. Sharon says you look good in the suit. The other agent comes up and calls him Cap. Like, and she's like, Sharon's like, he's talking to you. You're Cap now. So I get it, but the idea of like that, you're coming off that serious speech that's supposed to be meaningful, and then you go right into a joke. The transition between the speech and the joke was not very. The handoff wasn't done very well. And to address the Black Falcon thing, yes, no one really called him Black Falcon, but it's not really speaking to them calling Falcon Black. It's just calling anybody Black whatever. So in this country, Bogz, you know, you're called a Black athlete, a Black quarterback, a Black whatever. So the label Black is put in front of a lot of things, including, maybe not now, but to a degree, Falcon probably in the comics would probably refer to as Black Falcon, either intentionally or unintentionally. So I'm sure it's a thing at some point. Obviously not so now, but it is a thing that they show address. Did it address it enough? No, because only really the black characters are referring to that. None of the white characters are doing it, which would be
That was
more
the
of
problem.
which would
That'd
be more
way
interesting.
better, way better.
Yeah.
Flipped, it would have been
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, exactly. And then you could have a real conversation. Because if a white guy would be like, "That's Black Falcon," you're like, "Hey,
Exactly. Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
be calling like actually have a real dialogue about like, no, he's just a superhero. He's just Falcon." Instead
I
of
think
Falcon,
my actual reaction when that older guy said "Black's Black Fuck," I think it was like that. It was like really, like, is he really gonna say that? Really?
Real
Yeah.
Rejects even
No
made a joke
chance.
afterwards. They
Yeah.
were like, okay, then that's White Winter Soldier, and then
Yeah.
that's White US Agent.
Well, he is White
and that's
Wolf.
Bla- And goes, and that's Black Nick Fury, and then like, and they were making these jokes, and they're like, let's just.
well, I did hear the
When
Black
Thor-
Nick Fury thing. I did
Yeah.
hear that when they
Yeah.
announced Sam Jackson. It was like, Nick Fury's black now. I was like,
Yeah, and then
okay.
when Taurus becomes Falcon, because they laid the groundwork for that, he's just gonna be Latino Falcon because we got Black Falcon now, Latino Falcon. Like so,
You have to remember, a lot of these comic book writers were white men
yeah.
writing for black characters. So yeah, they're gonna stamp the black label on there. These comics were written, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s. So you have to remember that time set. We're not there today. And that's the issue that I had, is that they're not moving forward with the current weights of what's going on in our world today. So I just felt like it's tacky.
Yeah, I mean, Black Panther is called Black Panther. I mean, it's in his name, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But that's
He
an
was-
animal though as well. Like that's why I've always been okay with that.
Yeah,
It's
but
it's a coincidence.
that's
like,
their
but-
winking at you,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, sure.
hey, he's Black Panther, but he's
Yeah.
Black Panther.
Sure.
He's Black Panther.
Yeah.
So
hey, but he actually, the comic book came out before the Black Panther movement started. So
I know.
Marvel was before the
no, I know, but when I say black, I mean like he's
because you did the
black.
fist, and I was
It's not
just
just
like,
Well,
Really,
because
it's not-
he's
it's not
black.
the-
That's what
He couldn't
that's
just
what
be
I'm
a
trying to say.
panther. He had to
Yeah, he could have been a cheetah or something. He has to be a Black
be a
Panther.
lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of where I was going with that. So obviously, like we were saying, that obviously Bucky makes that joke, calls him Cap. Sharon makes something to look good in the suit. So then the guy tells him, like, hey, when the last flag smasher was in the Hudson, you want to go get him? And he's like, always. So he's like, I'm always gonna be Captain America now. Is kind of what I got from that. Okay. Flew off. Obviously, we see the flag smashers being put in the truck. It seems like they're gonna plan an escape because the guy putting them in just says, "One world, one people," and they start driving off, and then it just explodes, and then they cut to Zemo's chauffeur. It looks like he was the one who planned the explosion. Obviously, they cut to the raft where we see Zemo in his cell listening to the flag smashers being killed, saying that there's no suspects in the bombing. And then he's reading his book, and he seems very content with the whole thing. And that's the only scene Zemo's in for the entire episode, which disappoints me greatly because I loved him in this show. Obviously, they're going to do more with him going forward, obviously. But how he was just handled in this last episode and this one, it was just like so disappointing. That he never really had a last conversation with Sam is really weird. I found that to be odd. So just, what are your thoughts about, obviously, all the flag smashers being killed now? So the only super soldiers are Walker and Bucky now. Those are the only ones that are left. So, Aisha, your thoughts about that and us seeing Zemo?
Oh, Zemo, you little sly doggy, you little snake. You know what he was doing the whole time? He had his plan and he executed his plan. Zemo was 10 steps ahead of everybody the whole time, and he's chilling in his cell. He's chilling, and like I said a couple of episodes back, he has someone on the outside helping him. I was like, there's no way he's doing this himself. He has other people out there, the puppet master, right, with the strings. So I wasn't surprised that this happened at all. And I don't know if Walker is still on his list or not. I guess we'll find out in the next movie. I'm not for sure. I was okay with us just seeing Zemo in the scene because it was kind of like the whole little smirk thing. Like, yeah, I got y'all. That's all I needed. I didn't need anything else. We know we're going to see him in future movies, series, etc. And he's starting to become one of my favorite Marvel villains. You know, he's really starting to, you know, the Marvel villains before, they were kind of lacking a little bit, but then we got Killmonger, we got Thanos. I mean, they're doing a great job with Zemo. So if he's going to be the new big bad, or at least aid the new big bad, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be great.
I think he's going to be the new Loki for them. I think the one that's going to be kind of like, have the smirky kind of attitude, like he's above everybody else, kind of how Loki thought. I think he's just going to be in a lot more movies and series going forward. But because they did such a great job of reintroducing him to us in this new way, with him dancing and everything, and kind of his superior arrogance, I just thought he deserved a little bit more than what we got of him in the last 2 episodes. That's just me. Bogz, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was good. Really, he didn't have more of a better send off. But again, like I didn't like how he was just marched off by the Dara Milaje and in the episode before. But they kind of, I watched was it Civil War? They kind of do the same thing in there. Like T'Challa just walks him out. Like when Cap and Bucky and Iron Man are fighting, like he just kind of picks him up and walks him away because he's T'Challa's like tired of fighting at that point. So they kind of do the same thing there. So it was like doubling down on that. And overall, yeah, like we don't know how he actually arranged it from prison. So yeah, it was a bit disappointed, really. Like I was hoping at least we saw how he'd do it and stuff. So I was a bit like, okay, another scene where we just kind of fly through the story, don't spend enough time with him, doesn't get any dialogue, just gives a smile, and I'm like, oh, come on, man. Like, yeah, they build him up, and then we don't get a good ending with him. So yeah.
Well, again, I'm willing to give them a little bit of slack, only because we all know that we're gonna see him again. So that's the only thing. Like, if I knew, like, all right, this was like a one done show, or they weren't gonna have any more plans with him, I would really if he died or something, I'm just like, that's complete BS. But the only reason I'm not that upset is because I know we're gonna see him again. But at the same time, he deserves more than what we got. So your thoughts?
I was good with it because I think to the fact too, we're gonna see more of him. There wasn't enough time to add a Zemo scene into this episode. They had a lot of other shit that they had to do that they didn't execute well. So where were we gonna put a Zemo scene in? That's so I was good with it. It was kind of that like Aisha said, he was 10 steps ahead of everyone. He got to have that little like, I did it. Like, and that was good with me. Excellent. So with me, that scene was perfectly fine. I liked it.
No. Oop, I just muted myself. I liked it too, but I like Zemo. I just want to see more of him. That's all.
You will, so it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
Paciencia y fe.
I assume that means calm down and relax.
No. It means patience and faith. Patience and faith.
I have some of those. So obviously, we cut to Bucky telling Yuri, the old man, about his son. I love that they close that book. He goes in. He tells him like, your son got murdered, and I was the person who did it. He asks why, and he's like, I didn't have a choice. And I like that he just leaves. We don't necessarily have to see the whole conversation because it's not going to be a good one. But what I do like is that he gives the book back to the therapist, kind of says like, I'm done with all that. I'm kind of healed. It's just kind of the show telling us that he's past all his demons. And he walks by the restaurant and he sees Yuri sitting there, has a smile on his face. We see the young lady at the bartender serving him. He has a smile on his face to kind of like see like he did need the closure. So even though they had a difficult conversation, it was well needed because now he has closure. He can move on with his life. So that book is closed. Bucky's now kind of put that aside and he can move forward. So I like the fact that they addressed what we knew he had to. So I'm glad that they did all that. Bogz, your thoughts about that scene or scenes?
Yeah, so Bucky's own conclusion in this episode I thought was underwhelming. I thought he had his best stuff in the episodes before, like the last couple of episodes, for his kind of story arc and being finding himself and things like that. So with the whole apology stuff with the old guy. For me, it just felt hollow. It was again a bit empty, and I just felt like that could have been like his and like Sam and Isaiah's was, it was decent. Sam, I'm obviously going to come to that. It was decent. They embraced and things like that. So, I mean, I was hoping for that kind of thing. I know it is a bit different because you killed his son, but something a bit more emotional, that kind of thing. So I know Bucky's not the most emotional guy, that kind of thing. But yeah, it was just a bit hollow. I was like, oh, okay. And then he just kind of walks out, sees him in the window, and then walks away again. Like, okay, cool. Like, not memorable, not like I said, a bit hollow. And I was, like I said, a bit underwhelmed. But luckily, he's had some good emotional story moments in the episodes leading up to this. So yeah, I was a bit underwhelmed.
I agree with you, Bogz. It's just something that they had to address.
Had to do, yeah.
But they just, again, like a lot of things in this episode, it was done very, very quickly.
Through it, yeah.
Not having the emotional that it needed. Just like, this is just another thing, kind of like you said, checklist. It's another thing you have to just check off that he has to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it. It is what it is. Moving forward, Soul, your thoughts?
Yeah, they left the seeds for this story, and like this was such an important thing to Bucky that he was holding this internally, and then they go by it so quickly, and like honest, you don't even really see you're focused on Bucky and his face crying, and you literally, like the last episode, Sam said, it's not for you, it's for the other person. And then we're not even focusing on him or his reaction or how he felt about it. We're literally only focusing on Bucky. And so I think it goes against the struggle that he was having in the first episode. And it goes against what Sam said that the whole book was about. It's for coming clean to the other person and giving them the closure. And it's not about you. So I didn't like that the scene was that quick. I needed more time with it. Whereas like with you wanted more time with Zemo. I was good with what we got of Zemo in this episode. This, I needed it to be a little bit extended. And it like Bogz said, it felt hollow because it, like, you put all the seeds into this basket in episode 1, and then you bring it back in the last episode, and then you do it like what, in 30 seconds, a minute?
Yeah, I agree with you too. It's but it would have been nice just to kind of see it linger a little bit more, like the realization of what happened to his son. Kind of just long, just it don't have to be that much longer. Just him soaking it all in, and then just kind of like accepting for what it is, and then moving on. Like, I know that's why he obviously walked by. It's him accepting it and moving on. But just a little bit, if it lingered a little bit more. Obviously, the show, again, had a lot to do. Couldn't linger on anything too much longer, but a little bit more would have gone a little bit longer, a long way, in my opinion. So I agree with you, Soul. We needed more. I agree with Bogz. It felt a little hollow because it was rushed. I agree with all those things, but unfortunately, this is kind of the sacrifice that you have to make sometimes if you're making a show, that you just have to tie these bows up really, really quick because you just can't leave them lingering on for season 2 or whatever's going to happen going forward. So, Aisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, again, like I said earlier, it's the execution. I mean, we could have had this exact same scene with the same time frame, but just, spun a different way. I think the biggest thing that I was missing was for him to look at Bucky and say, I forgive you. I think that's what we were needing. We were needing some line, kind of like with WandaVision when we got the but what is grief but love persevering, that line that really hit everyone. I think we really needed that line that people took away from the series that really encapsulated Bucky's emotional journey that we went through with him, and since this scene was kind of glossed over, you kind of left you with like an empty, or at least me with like an empty feeling inside. I needed closure too, as a viewer. Excuse me. So like I said, I think it was just the execution. The scene really didn't need to be longer. It's just what was said. And I don't think saying, I had to a parent, I don't know. I just think that the writing lacked on this scene for sure. So this is another one where it lost that emotional weight for me.
Yeah, it ended with him going, I had no choice. And then you don't go further into it. Like,
yeah,
why did you not have any choice?
Yeah.
I know we know that as an audience, but it's still good to be reiterated because the dad doesn't know. The old man doesn't know that.
Well, you assume, and you don't like to use that word, that they had a longer conversation about it that we just don't see. But again, I just would have, if it would have just lingered a little bit on the old man's soaking it all in type thing, where even if you just you can have Bucky mouth flap the rest, and then just him kind of just soaking it all in, just like, all right, I get what you're saying. Obviously, you were brainwashed, blah 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 blah. But now he actually has the closure, and he can move on. Like it's an important beat for him and for Bucky, because now Bucky can move forward in his life. So it did deserve a little bit more respect and time, because it is supposed to be a big moment for Bucky. Now he has to move forward. So again, lingering a little bit longer would have went a long way. But unfortunately, it is what it is. So obviously we get Sam going back to Isaiah's house. He knocks on the door, and even Eli goes, "It's Black Falcon," and he's like, "You need to learn some respect." So again, the black people are saying Black Falcon. They're the only ones saying it. Isaiah says, "Well, he's not Falcon anymore," and he's like, "I saw what you did. And he's like, "A black man being Captain America," and Sam's like, "You're damn right." He's like, "Some people don't like it, but I'll be damned if we help build this country. I'll be damned if no one tells me I can't fight for it." So very, very powerful words that I'm wishing he would have said to the senator, and the senator, they could have actually had a dialogue. Everything he said to Isaiah in this episode and last one is great, but some of that should have been said to the senator. But whatever, I get it. And then obviously he tells Isaiah to, clean yourself up. I want to show you something. So he brings him to the Cat Museum. And then in there, Isaiah has his own plaque and his own statue. And Sam tells him that, what you did will never be forgotten. And they kind of have an embrace. So that's Sam's way of kind of selling Isaiah, like, I'm sorry for what happened. And this is kind of the government's way of saying sorry, but is that enough? I doubt it, because I'm pretty sure this isn't the last we see of Isaiah. Obviously, if his grandson becomes Patriot, something else has to happen. So we're actually going to see him again. But hopefully this isn't the only thing he gets, because that's the only thing he gets is like 30 years in jail, being tortured, your wife being held from you, and all you get is a statue and a plaque. Don't think that's enough. Like, he needs a press conference.
If he's quote-unquote dead.
I know, but he needs something else. He just can't get a plaque and a statue. If that's all he's going to get, that's not enough. But again, we'll see going forward. But as of right now, it's not enough. So, what are your thoughts?
So I think that the reason why Isaiah's not getting any more is because he's quote unquote dead, and he wants to keep it that way. He's like, stay out my business. So that part where I completely agree with you. He deserves so much more. He deserves so much more, but I just don't think he's going to get it, especially because he is quote unquote dead. Also, I just want to shout out Carl Lumbly, man, what a freaking actor. He made me emotional, the shaking in that hug, that made me super emotional. And I like all the conversation that Sam was having. I wished, again, like you said, that some of that happened on camera to the world, but at the same time too, it felt nice that it's just two black men having this conversation, and Isaiah still holds some bitterness, and rightfully so. And so you have these two black men of different thoughts, but still who serve their country, and who so I really enjoyed that scene. And then the little kid, the kid too, where he was going, oh man, does he ever lighten up? And he's like, nah, never. And that just reminded me of my grandparents, and then us as the kids be like, nah, don't mess with them. They having the moment. Leave them be.
Yeah.
So I guess to that, I liked that scene. I like the Carl Lumbly in it, but I agree he needs more. But we'll see what happens, because his grandson's gonna be Patriot. They're laying the ground
We
seeds
hope
for that.
so. We hope so. But I also did like the fact that we saw all three of them there. You see the bitter old black man. You see the younger middle-aged black man who has a little bit more optimism, and then you see Eli, the future.
Yeah.
So I like how all three are represented there, even though Eli doesn't have a lot to do right now. Obviously, he could play a bigger role. There's a seed planted there with him. Obviously, in the comics, he gets his powers through a transfusion. A lot of blood transfusions happen in the Marvel universe. And that's how he gets his powers. So obviously, if that's going to happen again, we're going to see Isaiah again. And then he can't be still dead if he ends up doing something like that. So he's going to have to come out of the shadows. Well, who knows? But I think he has to come out of the shadows in some way, shape, or form for Eli to get his powers. Obviously, like hey, who are you? Like, I'm his grandfather. So at some point, he's gonna have to come back, and hopefully, just don't kill him off. But we'll see. Bogz, your thoughts?
Yeah, it was okay. It was a kind of a decent tie-up for their kind of story arc. I was getting distracted by the kid's chain, though. Did anyone else notice his gold chain? I was like, it's so stereotypical. Like a teenage kid, like, why are you going to give him a gold chain like that? It was just it's just stood out for me. And yeah, just overall, like, yeah, I mean, he... Like I do like the way, like, well, first of all, they're saying, you ain't no Malcolm X or you ain't no Martin Luther King, that kind of thing, but you're doing the right thing. You're showing the fight for justice and to stand up for what's right, which is like the true values and nature of the Captain America mantle. So he is kind of earning the it's not about being patriotic, it's not about being a soldier, it's not about being a hero, it's about having the right values. And I think he showed that in these story elements. So I preferred this stuff to the stuff in the suit, because this was kind of even though it was little dialogue, or there was less dialogue, like Sean was saying, there was a back and forth, it was an acceptance there, they embraced, there's obviously he's got the statue now, so he's doing these the right things there for that character, I think. So that seemed more well earned as opposed to the just talking at the GRC guys. So I did like it overall. I mean, I want to see more of Isaiah as well, so I want to see him put a suit on. He's a super soldier at the end of the day. Yeah, so they might need him, you never know. But overall, I did like the kind of it was a bit of a tick box I felt for Sam, but I think it was a needed one, because he's showing the right values with kind of Isaiah overall, and Isaiah kind of coming round on the whole Captain America, a black guy being Captain America. He was more accepting of that and happy for Sam, and there's kind of steps moving forward. That stuff I liked. I didn't like the kind of poor attempt with the government, but this kind of closed story, they could have done more with it, I'm not gonna lie, but overall it was okay. I was happy with the statue and stuff like that. So at least he's now recognized, and yeah, they got their little embrace and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah, I think he's accepting more of Sam, not necessarily the whole idea of it.
Yeah.
I think he's just more accepting of, like, hey, you, Sam, I'm liking what you're doing. You're no Malcolm, you're no Farrakhan, but you're doing the right thing. He's accepting him for what he's doing. I don't think he's ready or willing to forgive everybody and everything, but he's willing to accept Sam as Captain America and what that actually means for Sam carrying the shield, because he didn't think, like he said it in the last episode, in his opinion, no black man would want to do that or be willing to do that, and Sam kind of proved him wrong. And they can kind of see like how his effect, like the GRC put off the vote, so we can see that he had an effect. A black man had an effect. He spoke out. They listened to him. And they postponed. So we'll see where that goes going forward. But I did like their embrace. Aisha?
Yeah, so as far as Eli, I think in this universe, maybe they'll make it genetic as far as the powers that it was passed down. Because if not, I'm just trying to figure out how they'll even tie that together. I'm not really for sure about that. I didn't think the statue was good enough. I think Isaiah deserved more. And then on top of that, I was confused as to how they were able to talk the government into getting the statue and the memorial into the museum? What was that conversation? If this man was supposedly erased from history, what was that conversation? So there had to be some type of acknowledgement that he is still alive. You know, I maybe would have preferred like they would have held like a press conference that was aired for the world to see, like right outside the museum. You know, Isaiah could have been in the back in the shadows watching, and they could have revealed the statue and then acknowledged their wrongdoing. So that's what I really feel like it was missing. There was no acknowledgement. That's why he was so pissed and bitter. It's because no one's acknowledging him as a human being, as a person, and what he went through. No one's there. Like you were saying so earlier, they're not admitting fault to anything. You get a plaque, you get a statue. Shut up. You know, and it kind of reminds me of, you know, with the riots and the protesting and Black Lives Matter. Oh, you know what we'll do for you? We'll put up a little banner on Netflix and give you a little Black history, you know, section so you guys can be quiet. We'll take Aunt Jemima off the syrup bottle. You know,
we'll put a little black box on our Instagram.
Like, yeah, we'll put a little black. There you go, Black people. You're good, right?
Racism over, taken care of.
You got your statue, Isaiah. You're good, right? You're good. No acknowledgement at all. So that was frustrating. Like I said earlier, I don't think that they stuck the landing with what they were trying to do with the show. I think they copped out at the end. I just think it was kind of half-assed. You know, it was sloppy. This finale was a little bit sloppy to me. And it was frustrating with everything that was put down emotionally. Everyone should have been bawling this last episode. We all should have been in tears, broken down, crying, because there should have been so many moments where we were just like, oh man, yeah, they did that, and they didn't. You know, they glossed over a lot of emotional issues that needed to be addressed, and I was missing that. I was missing the emotional connection with this series. I wasn't connected to anyone, honestly. The only person that I kind of felt a connection to was Bucky, you know, and the Wakanda scene when he was breaking down, like that was, and Bucky and Isaiah. Isaiah's moments were so heartbreaking, you know, and I really wanted him to get, you know, what he was deserved in the end, and I don't think that they fully did it. So again, hopefully it gets addressed in the movie. Maybe they'll go into that a little bit more. I don't think they will. But yeah, I just think it was a huge opportunity. They really could have done something groundbreaking with this show, and I think they missed the mark on this one.
Yeah, it knew where the line was, and it didn't want to cross it. They put their toe on it, but that's as far as they went. And you're right, Aisha. Like having a press conference would have been great, and you could have easily brought Rhodey back in to close the gap a little bit. Yeah. Where we saw him obviously in the first one. Why didn't you pick up the mantle? It would have been nice to see Sam in the suit, acknowledging like, hey, I'm Captain America now, but there was another Captain America before me. In between Steve and me, there was Isaiah, and like we need to honor this man and like show the statue, like exactly like, and you don't have to acknowledge that he's alive. But you could praise him without outing him as being alive. Right. Having something like that would have gone a long way of honoring this man. Like, yes, he deserves a statue, but you could have done it in a way where the government is a little bit more, not just like placating, like, yeah, here's a statue, shut the hell up. Because that's kind of what it came across as. Yeah. So there was a way where you could have had your cake and eat it too, where the show could have been like, hey, the government and the show is embracing this our past, and acknowledging it and apologizing for it, without outing him as being alive. Because obviously we're gonna see him again, hopefully, in either season 2 or the movie or whatever it's gonna happen next specifically. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. He deserves more. So we cut to that. To the cookout, and then they're cooking all the southern food. They got the corn, and they're having all, and Bucky's invited, the only white person there,
and with the cake.
Yeah, he brings the cake. Because if you would have brought potato salad, you know that would not have worked. It's safe bringing the cake. You can't, and it was a store-bought cake, so you can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong with that. So he brings the cake. They ask, so the sisters there. They're taking pictures which was really, really nice. I did enjoy like seeing all that, kind of them celebrating Sam and Bucky's relationship, how they're a unit now, and his sister is there and his nephews are there. So I like that. Obviously, they're staring out into across the water. Yeah. Bucky comes over. They kind of have a little bit of embrace, and then it kind of cuts to not the Falcon and Winter Soldier, Captain America and Winter Soldier, and that's kind of where the show kind of ends. So I love how it ends that way. That the show and the MCU is embracing that Sam is now the new Captain America, not Walker. Oh yeah, I forgot. I almost forgot. Walker getting his USA agent uniform. I almost forgot about that. I apologize. Obviously, so after Val is talking to his wife, and they have a conversation about like Zemo and the Flag Smashers, how like Zemo did them a favor, and he walks out with the USA agent uniform, and she's like, keep your phone on. So just kind of your thoughts on the cookout and Walker getting the US agent uniform, and we'll kind of go to the end credit scene after that. But Bogz, your thoughts on both those things?
Yeah, just the cookout stuff is really sweet. So I just love Bucky in it, and just the kind of way he plays about with the kids, and when he's kind of talking to Sarah, and he's got his arm out, and all the kids are hanging off his arm, and it's just cool. And this him Bucky now, it seems like you heard previously that Bucky had he felt like Cap was his only family that he had left, but now he seems like he's got another family, and the Shield represented that, and now he seems like he's got another family, or he's being embraced by a family. So just love their bond, and just Bucky's the best character in the series for me, like you said, Aisha. So I loved it. And then just going with the US agent stuff, I mean, we don't know if he's a hero or villain, right? So I didn't really have much. I was like, okay. We don't know that is it that Val? Was that a name?
Yeah.
Again, not much other involvement in the story. We don't know where that's going. So it was just a bit of a shrug of the shoulders, like, okay, we kind of knew that she was interested in him. She told him again, keep his phone on. Mm-hmm. Cool. I was more kind of impressed with the Bucky and Sam stuff and that ending. There's a little bit of nothing with the US agent stuff. I was like, okay, he's got his name. Yep, he's going to be in other stuff. Okay, cool, got it. Another checklist, tick.
It seems like how he got his name just seems weird. Like, things are gonna get weird where we're going. We won't need a Captain America. We need a U.S. agent. I was like,
sure,
okay, I guess, but whatever. Like, obviously, again, no more is coming. And it sounds to me like she's starting the Thunderbolts, and John Walker's gonna lead them with Bucky, with Zemo being a part of it, which would be very, very interesting if that's where they're going. But Aisha, your thoughts on the cookout and Walker getting his new suit and title?
Yeah, Bucky finally found his peace. I think that was the point of this scene, was to show that through all the hardships, through everything that he went through, he's finally at peace within himself. So I thought that was great. I thought that was a sweet scene. And then, of course, the scene with Walker and Val. It's like, she kind of was like, did I help blow up the Flag Smasher? Did I not? Did I? I was like, okay, you're weird. I didn't really understand. It's like, is she Madam Hydra? Is she not Madam Hydra? Is she putting together, the Thunderbolts? Is she in this with Zemo? And that would be weird with Walker having the serum. So I'm confused on what's really going on here with that section. And then, were you guys confused by Walker's line saying, I'm back, and getting all hyped? Just like, dude, you're back away. Like, what? What's going on here? You're only in here with your wife.
Yeah, a little bit. You're supposed to be a conflicted character.
Yeah.
And like, why are you so happy now?
How I saw it, I pretty much saw it like, remember that he was cast out. It's like, you're not going to be anything now. They pretty much got rid of him.
Taking away your pension.
And then now someone else has found him and brought him back into the fold. Like, he's officially back in what fold we don't know, but he's back in the game.
Where?
What game we don't know.
You don't even know what you're doing.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it could be talking to like a soldier's perspective, because like, when we have
a mission.
Yeah, we have like when soldiers go overseas and then they come back and they don't know what to do with themselves because they've been fighting and been doing missions and been doing that. So like, it's kind of, I think it was speaking to that, like, he has a mission now. He knows what he needs to be doing, where before, when they took everything away, he was lost.
Yeah, but
but we needed a little bit more of that. That's why I said we needed an extra episode to see him being lost.
We really did need an extra.
But I think it was implied in there that he was lost when things were taken away, and then that's why he was hammering, making his own little.
Oh God, that shield looked whack. I wanted to actually see his new shield because obviously U.S. agent has a shield.
Yeah.
I would have liked to seen that, and then she could have even made a joke of like, yeah, this isn't as good as Cap's shield, obviously. But it's better than that piece of crap that you actually made. So it's somewhere in between the two. So that would have been nice to see. But Aisha, your thoughts on? Are you good? Sorry.
I was gonna say I would have liked for him to have named himself U.S. agent.
Yeah.
Gave him instead of having Val give him the title. So I was like, okay, but again, they're laying the seeds for whatever we're about to get in the future. I'm still not for sure, what's going to happen. And, the whole Sharon Carter thing. Anyways, I rolled my eyes at that. I was like, all the stuff that you said to Sharon, shouldn't you have said that to Isaiah? And, okay, yeah. But anyways, so.
Round it off.
So I think, too, we're missing a little bit of Val because Val is apparently in Black Widow, and that was supposed to come out first. So we were going to know a little bit more about her, and that was supposed to come out beforehand. I think, too, that's one of the other reasons why they were pushing the show back a little bit as well, not just the COVID reshoots, but then also that as well, because they wanted Black Widow beforehand. So this was not supposed to be our first introduction to Val in this series. Yeah. So I guess we'll find out a little bit more about her when we watch Black Widow. So I'm just like, okay, what's going to happen with her? Yeah. And then for the cookout, I just ship Sam and I just ship Bucky and Sarah so hard. I'm gonna need them to get together. I love there was a meme like where the boys were playing with the shield and like Bucky's looking over, he's like, I'm gonna be your daddy soon. And then like they sent it to the actress who plays Sarah, and she's like, I died. This is hilarious. Wow. Like, so I need this to happen. I know, like, but that's my ship. Like I always have to come away with a ship, and the ship is Sarah and Bucky. Like, they need to get together. I think they would be super cute.
Yeah. Well, he was flirting with her.
Yeah,
he was flirting. I mean, Bucky's a ladies guy.
He got the bartender too, so I don't know.
Yeah, he's a lady.
Get yourself a black woman, Bucky. Do it.
Hey, why not? Like, he's a ladies man. We saw in the first movie when we got introduced. He's a ladies man. He had two ladies on his own. So would it surprise me if he would? Like, but Sam has to give the okay for he can't just can't be just talk. He's like, don't be flirting with my sister. So Sam has to give him the the nod.
Yeah, we don't want to restart the whole.
Yeah, we don't want to have Sam and Bucky fighting again. So
Yeah.
Or it would be really nice if she actually asked him out.
Okay, she might.
That'd be interesting.
She might.
He's good with his kids, that's always a plus.
With the kids.
I want to see that. So obviously, we're either getting a season 2 that's called Captain America and Winter Soldier, or we're getting this movie that's been announced, that's been in development. Are we going to get both? Are we getting one or the other? I think we kind of. I don't know. Because now there's so many players that are involved now. I think we kind of need both. But we'll see how it goes. So obviously the last scene is Sharon Carter talking to the same senator again.
Only got one senator.
It's only one senator. Pretty much he's acknowledging about her and her family, how they've served the great debt. And then he gives her a pardon and puts her right back where she was in her same job title as Civil War, which she accepts. And then as she's leaving, she's on the phone saying that, super soldiers are off the table. But now we have access to all the secrets and everything else. And let's start selling it to the highest bidder. And then that's kind of where the show ends. Mm-hmm. So now this is setting up a lot of possibilities. Could this be how Armor Wars starts with Rhodey? Mm-hmm. In the sense that like now she could easily get access to all Tony's tech and how that gets put out. So there's a lot of possibilities of where Sharon Carter can go next. So I didn't like that they made it a power broker and how they did it. But now I'm fascinating with this end credit scene to see what they actually do with her, either being the power broker or working for the power broker, what that's actually going to mean going forward. So Aisha, your thoughts on that end credit scene?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think they're leaning into the next show, so we'll see how that goes. Uh, Let me know if I'm not remembering this properly, but wasn't there an arms dealer in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Mm-hmm.
That was,
Yes.
yeah. I'm wondering if maybe she was on the phone with that guy. I can't remember his name. I'm trying to piece together who she could have
Played
been.
by Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
But I
This-
forget his name.
Yeah,
but he
'cause
was partly working for someone too.
he was working for someone too. Yeah, so there's
Yeah.
someone in the background,
Yeah.
having some things going on. But
Was he working for the power broker?
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, so I thought it was so cheesy when she turns around, walks out, and then it slows down, and she does a little.
And then those-
I was like,
She's like,
come on, dude.
excellent. All worked out.
It's just I don't know. I just don't believe it. It's just it's cheesy to me just a little bit. So, I mean, but it was fine. I mean, overall the whole series was good. I'll just say it was good. I think like I was saying earlier, they could have done more with it, but overall it was good. I don't know if you guys noticed, there's a lot of parallels between Spider-Man Far From Home with Stark giving Parker the glasses and entrusting him with something, and then he gives it away to somebody else who wasn't worthy of it. I was seeing a lot of the parallels between that. I had a little conversation with my stepdad about that. I was like, yeah, that's interesting, the parallels between Spider-Man Far From Home. But overall, I thought it was fine. I thought the writing lacked a little bit, but it was good. It's Marvel, so it's gonna be good. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be crap. But I just, with everything that they were planting, I just wanted a little bit more. So, again, it ended the post-credit scene. I was like, all right, cool. Let's just give me my movie.
Yeah.
Movie now.
Yeah, I mean, as a Marvel show, I think it worked for what it was, but as a social
Yeah.
commentary, it could have been
missed
a lot
it.
more. But yeah, it missed the mark there. But as a Marvel show, it worked.
Yeah.
But with Sharon Carter, I just was like, yeah, like I said, let's see what they do with it, because that would justify for me to see what they ended up doing with her. But Bogz, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know the overall power broker's overall involvement in the story, who she's talking to. Too many what ifs for now. So I'm quite glad with not hearing the word power broker for a few months. I'm over it. It didn't really come to much in this series, so obviously it will later down the line. So I'll be more invested then. As of right now, it's kind of Bucky and Sam's story. So I agree kind of what Aisha's saying as well. It was a good series. It wasn't great. Overall, definitely the final episode was definitely messy and unsatisfying, I'd say. But the rest of the series was great. It was really solid. But, just the more every series that we come by now, I just think that the Mandalorian just goes up and up and up in terms of the quality of it and the kind of, just the overall kind of rating we give that. But, overall, like I said, it was really solid. But didn't like the last episode. But overall, pretty good.
Yeah, 6 isn't the best. But again, because they pushed so many thing back so that the 6th episode had so much to do.
Yeah.
That
Could have been 8. I would have liked it to have been 8.
I agree, so indeed it
Yeah.
more episodes.
Because we saw with the Netflix shows that 13 episodes was too much.
Right.
Yes.
Because they had a few filler, a few they dragged some things out. I think 8 would have been perfect.
Yeah, I think you could have had an episode where you just literally did a lot more character development, because I would have loved.
There could have been a John Walker episode.
Yeah, there could have been a flashback to John Walker getting recruited. Flashbacks to the Flag Smashers, what their gripe really was.
Yeah,
Flashback
that's
to
what happened to
Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Definitely Isaiah.
Yeah,
We and
because
Sean
me
talked about
and
that.
me and Bogz talked about it. When Sam was talking to Isaiah, you could have had a flashback with him doing battle while he's talking over and telling Sam what he was going through.
See him getting tortured and things like
Yeah,
that.
all that stuff.
It could have done that where you're starting to tell a story and then it transitions to the
That's
actual.
what. Yeah, we literally spoke about that.
I wouldn't have mind a slow episode where you just really flushed all these things out, so that if episode 6 ended up, or whatever the last episode would be, still we wouldn't feel like they're rushing to the finish line. Like things would have felt a lot, because even though we're gonna see all these characters again, I'm still left unsatisfied because I don't know where they're going, even though they know we don't know, and we don't know how long we have to wait to find out all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're leaving our audience with too many questions. You know, we need more answers and questions.
It's funny how 1 second. So it's funny how Kevin Feige said it's a 6-hour movie, because it felt like a movie. It should have felt more like a show where you have more time to explore these things. In a movie, sometimes you don't. So in fact, he's right. It did feel like a movie where you just like left with so many questions. Like WandaVision did a much better job of wrapping everything up, even though it's gonna splinter off into other things. It felt like a show. This felt like a movie, and it should have felt more like a show. I'm sorry, Silco.
Yeah, what I was gonna say too is like the MCU. There's people who jokingly call each movie like it's a long episode, like a long like season, and each phase is a season. And I think they're getting too much on the connectiveness with all the shows, that they're leaving questions to be answered in the next, because they've trained us to be like, oh, we don't need to explain that. Now we'll explain it 2 movies from now or 2 shows from now. And it's kind of like, no, you still need to make something that begins and ends and can splinter off. And we've seen that be the problem, like when they try to do the Dark Universe with the Mummy, or the the Justice League, where they're trying to create too many things that will be done in future movies, and it's just like, no, make a movie a good one, or make a show a good show. It can reference other things, and I think that's why the MCU was so good. Phase 1 is that it left stuff to be explored later, but it still had full movies. Right. Where now I think going into this phase 4, I guess, whatever they're calling it, is that they're like, oh, they're trained to keep coming back. We don't need to explain ourselves now. And I think that's going to be an issue going forward, and I hope they rectify it.
Agreed.
Yeah, because you figure they don't have movies anymore. They have shows now where you should have time to flush all these things out.
Because I feel like as well, like just on that point, Sean, that the teaser's longer when they do that, because with a series, there's 6 hours, that we're watching, as opposed to a 2-hour movie or 3-hour movie. The tease for 6 hours, obviously it covers a lot of stuff in this series, but we're gonna get another series next month. But that's gonna be a completely different side of the MCU. Yeah. So we have to. It's just like a constant tease that's going around, which is good and bad at the same time. Like, not necessarily bad, just frustrating. Because you don't get it all in the one series. So as opposed to a movie where you get some answers, obviously some you don't, but okay, in 4 months we'll get them answers. So it's a bit of a different thing that you have to get used to. Yeah,
but I'm willing to accept more if a movie leaves me longing, because it's 2 hours. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Out of a 6-episode show, I should feel a lot more closure. So again, I don't think the show did its job completely, in my opinion. But anyway, so that's kind of our thoughts. So I think what we'll do next week is we'll see the making of, and I think what we could do is kind of discuss that, see what comes, if there's anything that we learn that we didn't know, and then we can also kind of address where we see all these characters that they introduce us to, where we see them going forward, whether it's in the movie or if it's in a second series season, what have you. And then obviously we know the next show coming up is Loki, which I think we're all looking forward to. But just final thoughts, Sol? Final thoughts on the episode, the series?
I was saying before that I liked this show more than WandaVision, but I was going to hold off to kind of wait to see what the last episode, how it ended, because it was very much of a, I need to see the full thing. It missed the landing for me. And in that regard, I can't say that it's better than WandaVision if you miss the landing at the end. Sorry, Bogz. So, I guess, I liked a lot. And I know that we were very highly critical of the show. I liked the show a lot. I did like the last episode in certain regards. And so I don't want you to walk away here going, oh, they just hated the show. Because I think all 4 of us really enjoyed the show a lot. There was so much great things happening in this show. Look at Sean's show.
Oh, you've got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, I will still say this is an amazing show because Marvel makes amazing things. It's just there's a few things that they missed the mark on for us here. And if you think differently, like, that's totally fine, because we're not going to judge anyone here. It goes. So let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah, please do. Like, I agree with Soul. I was waiting to wait and see if I like this more. I like WandaVision better, only because exactly what Soul just said. Because they stuck the landing, even though WandaVision's landing wasn't as strong either, but it's a better ending. And I think they wrapped up everything better in WandaVision and set things up better than Falcon and Winter Soldier did, in my opinion. But again, I still love both shows. Don't get me wrong, I love both shows, but I just think WandaVision did a better job, even though feeling like a series, and Falcon and Winter Soldier felt more like a 6-hour movie. So in that sense, I like WandaVision better. Aisha, final thoughts?
I mean, the quality is going to be there. This is Marvel Disney. The quality is going to be there. So as for that, you guys did great. As far as a full cohesive story, I did, like I said earlier, I just didn't think that they executed this properly. So with that being said, WandaVision still my jam. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was a good show. Don't tear me apart. I thought this was a good show. I just think that there were certain sections that they just needed to tie up, and they didn't. So overall, I had a good time, man. This is great. I mean, anything Marvel, I'm gonna love. This is just as a geek, we're gonna like this type of stuff, no matter what we get. We're gonna salvage all that stuff.
Yes. We're all sitting at the cookout waiting for more. So Bogz, your final thoughts to you.
Yeah, you're all deluded. I definitely think this is better than WandaVision. No, I'll tell you that it was a weak ending. I would say that, and as opposed to WandaVision, which was a strong ending, I will admit that. Up until the last episode, I couldn't stand WandaVision. Last episode was good, though. I would say that. This episode was it was poor. I'd say not poor. It wasn't a great final episode, but everything else was great. Particularly the first and second episode, I was so invested. Bucky in the bar with the old guy, and I love that stuff. That was great. And then them guys clashing and the humor and stuff like that. The early parts of the Falcon Winter Soldier was my favorite stuff. Yeah. But yeah, overall, good episode. Good series, not great. But just one recommendation I have to say. So, like I said, I watched the Captain America trilogy because now the best part of the series for me is Sebastian Stan. Like, I didn't know this guy, the levels of this guy's acting. So, has anyone seen I, Tonya? Just before I go any further.
No, I have not, but I've seen some of his other smaller roles, and it's so good. He's so good.
I'm telling you now, it's a must-watch. He is absolutely fantastic, and like Margot Robbie's great, and she's obviously plays Tonya Harding, and her mother, I forgot her name, it's Alison Jenny, I think. She won an Oscar for it. She's great as well. But he is like, his character acting in it is like, it's like Sam Rockwell level character acting, or like Ewan McGregor in some of his movies. Like, he is so good. He's funny. His physical acting is great. He's creepy as well. Like, he's got like a buddy cop relationship with Paul Walter Hauser as well. So like, you get the Sam influence there as well. He starts off as like a teenager. He goes up to like his 50s. He's so good at it. I was so impressed. Like, by far his best acting performance that I've seen him, and I can't wait to watch more of his stuff. But yeah, that's one recommendation. Please watch I, Tonya. Anyone watching, it is so good. Like, I was so impressed with him. Like, I was fist pumping in the air. Like, in some of his scenes, I'm shocked he didn't get nominated for an Oscar for it, because he definitely should have. He was absolutely amazing. Definitely recommend. The guy's got serious level.
Marvel always gets talent.
I thought he was just like an action guy, like, because he doesn't get the up until this series the emotional stuff in the Marvel stuff. Like, it's more action based, which he's great at. But I never knew he was like that. I never knew he was at these levels. So he's absolutely fantastic in I, Tonya. So a must watch for me.
Well, I think again, I want to praise Disney and Marvel, because these shows are highlighting more of this so-called side characters, and you're seeing a lot more acting. You're seeing all the acting chops, like Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Sebastian Stan, all these people. Oh my God, I can't remember.
I mean, we already knew Anthony Mackie.
Like, you're seeing all of their chops.
He needs his moments. He still needs his moments.
He still needs his moments, but like, us here collectively know. The whole world needs to know, but us here collectively know how great Anthony Mackie is.
Oh yeah.
Just go watch 8 Mile, go watch Hurt Locker. Like,
I mean, he was
Black
even
Mirror
good
is
in
a good episode,
Adjustment Bureau, and he's a
Yeah.
small part in that.
Oh, yeah.
But like Emmys need to be these shows need to be up for Emmys, and they will be.
Carl Lumley. If he doesn't get an Emmy,
he needs a nod 1,000%. 1,000%. So again, that's our thoughts. Like I said, we'll talk more about this show what everything's going to do going forward next week. But thanks for watching our review. Like Soul said, if you have any comments about this episode or the series, drop them below. Also like, subscribe, do all those great things. And if you're just watching this episode, you can watch all the reviews that we did on the previous episodes as well. And like I said, we will cover the making of next week, and I will obviously cover Loki when that comes out June 11th as well, which I believe is also going to be 6 episodes. Don't think that'll be enough, but hopefully maybe it will. But
we got Bad Batch coming too.
We got Bad Batch coming, which we will cover as well. Bogz will be holding that down for us, and we'll figure out who's going to be running those reviews with them. I think it's just going to be Aisha. Are you caught up on Star Wars?
No.
So is this going to be Soul and Bogz? And I guess Aisha we got to catch up in the background.
We'll get some guests here and there as well.
Yeah, we'll try to see if we can.
Me and Soul hold it down.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. But until then, for Bogz in the UK, for Soul in Miami, Aisha in Texas, for myself in Los Angeles, take care, and we'll see you on the next review.